Welcome to Community of Love Christian Fellowship, where God loves you and we do too. Join us in person on Sundays from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. for 60 minutes of dynamic praise, inspiring fellowship, and life-changing worship. Point your GPS to 557 Cambridge Street in the Alston neighborhood of Boston, Massachusetts, 02134. Visit us on the web at colcf.org. That's colcf.org. To learn more about our Friday evening services, our various ministries, and our upcoming special events. Now, let's join the service already in progress.
There's a song that we love to sing. We pray that you sing it with us. And if you don't feel comfortable singing, we pray that you would live this with us. I give myself away. I give myself away. So This afternoon we want to preach on the topic, let's be relational, not confrontational. Let's be relational, not confrontational. Let's be relational, not confrontational. There is a passage, a wonderful word here, Luke chapter 9, verses 46 to 48. If you have your digital digits going and punch that in, Luke 9, 46 to 48. If you're analog, go and flip to the back fifth of the Bible, somewhere back there. And please allow me the privilege of reading this to you. An argument arose among them, these are the disciples, as to which of them, the disciples, was the greatest. But Jesus, knowing the reasoning of their hearts, took a child and put the child by his side and said to them, whoever receives this child in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives him who sent me. For he who is least among you is the one who is the greatest. It's a quick passage. We want to see if there's some stuff for us. If you're like me, every Thursday around 10 o'clock, there's a certain show that comes on that I really enjoy. If you're like me, there's a show that's called Scandal. All right, the preacher's going to preach and he's going to talk about scandals. Okay. There's a dynamic this show is bad. Every time you blink your eye, something new happens. There's so much content in there. There's so much context in there. There's so much energy, highs and lows. They're all in there. Even the music gets kind of low and dark, and then it gets bright, and even the lighting. If you really pay attention, the lighting goes broad, and you go to Olivia Pope's office, and the gladiators are around the table. And then you go to the different scenes, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and Olivia's phone, pops up, and she says, what? Because she already knows what's going on. You can't fool her, right? And then all of a sudden there seems like there's something about to happen, but then Huck steps in, right? And Huck comes to the rescue, right? And then if it's not Huck, there's one of the other gladiators, And there's so much drama, and this show is jam-packed with theatrical stuff, with action. It's all in there. But I said to a friend, I said, if you like that show, you need to read the Bible. Because the Bible got even more. And let me help you to realize, in this short passage, 2 verses. Y'all check this out. Let me get dramatic just for a second. Please forgive me, but I'm going to use my sanctified and holy imagination, because I was there, you know what I mean? This is about halfway through the gospel according to Luke. And Luke is sitting here writing this story out for us to be able to read centuries later. And Luke is like, I wonder if I should put this in here now. Because you know what? This was a time that, where people, let me just kind of put around it, and people who really read the Bible, they going to get it. Halfway through Luke's story about the gospel, about halfway through Jesus' ministry, it was a 3-year ministry, he had the 12 disciples. Jesus was off, and he just finished doing a bunch of miracles and healings. Jesus had just finished teaching that he was not going to be here all the time, and y'all need to get your stuff together. Y'all need to behave, right? Because Jesus had to put the disciples on punishment every now and then because they weren't listening. So Jesus was like, look, I asked you to pray. Y'all sleep. Pray. So when Jesus walks out of the room, and here go the disciples. I can imagine Peter, James, and John. They always used to triple team folks, right? Because then people thought that those were Jesus' favorite because they used to get to roll with him up on the mountain and everything. So you got Peter, James, and John, and they're over here. Then you had Andrew, Philip, Thomas, and Simon. They were right here, right? And then you had Bartholomew, Matthew, and you had James and Thaddeus right here, and Judas Iscariot was right there. So you had 4 camps right here. And they were in a tussle, y'all. The disciples, the 12 disciples, they were like, no, man, I'm the greatest. No, man, I get to sit next to him. No, I gave him his meal. No, man, I poured his drink. No, I'm the one who pulled the chair out for him. I'm the greatest. When he went to heal the people, I'm the Matthew tells the story. Matthew says Jesus said, what's all the fuss about? You know, Jesus was cool. Jesus to me was like that Billy D kind of cool. You know, walk in with the hand kind of in here. You know, maybe some of y'all don't know Billy D. Maybe Denzel, maybe, right? Maybe, okay. Maybe Morris Chestnut. I'm going to keep coming down the generation, right? I'm trying to get to somebody we can reach. But I mean, the brother came in and said, what's all the hustle about? What's all the tussle about? What y'all fussing about? And nobody said anything according to Matthew. And Mark writes about this gospel. So 3 of the gospel writers write about this thing. Mark says that nobody will fess up. So Jesus, cool, calm, collected, like, I already know what's going on. I just want to see who's going to outdo the person. He said, I'm all up in your mind already. God has given me discernment, so I'm already understanding what's going on. So he cools a little child. In my imagination, the child was about 2.5, 3. You know, just really getting good on his feet. So when Jesus kind of pulled him over, he kind of did this instead of falling over, right? But not so old yet that he was like, what, Jesus, what do you want? What? You know, so there wasn't any of that. So he pulled the kid over. And Jesus says, see, this one right here. Whoever pays attention and focuses your time and energy on this one is the one who's been paying attention to what I'm saying. He says, because contemporary culture will tell you that the most important people are the elders. And they are important, don't get me wrong, the elders are important. He said, but you gotta be a child in order to become an elder. What Jesus was saying, and I break this down this way, is that any congregation or fellowship without small children is a dying congregation. In order to live, you always want to face the next generation eye to eye. And you want to have the opportunity and the responsibility and the privilege to groom and nurture. Not only so they have what God is calling them to have, but that they're better than you. Oh, I know this is hard. This is hard. This is hard. This is hard. I tell my students, I said, if I've done my job right, when you get to where I am, you should surpass me. Why? Because I should leave everything that I have on the field for you. I should leave my contacts. I should leave all that brilliance that have accrued over the years. I should leave it with you so that you take it and you run with it. It's not a competition. It's not a confrontation. I don't need you to be in the classroom trying to prove to me that you're smarter than I am or that you're more brilliant or as brilliant than I am. No! You come here so that you can sit with me, not under me, but with me, so that we can share and that we can care for one another. So that I can inspire you, you can encourage me, so I can empower you, and you can care about me. God created us as relational beings. That in this ecosystem, we are all puzzle pieces. What do I mean by that? Doc, you're going left field on this. Puzzle pieces, what do you mean? Some of you are corners. Yeah. Y'all know where I'm going with this, right? You get that 1,200-piece puzzle. What you do, you cut the box open, right? And then if you're like me, you like to prop that box open so you can see the picture right in front of you, because you got to know where you're headed, right? You got to have a vision, right? And then you scrounge around the pieces. You first turn them all up, right, so you can see what the pieces are. But then you methodically find the 4 corners of the puzzle. And you space yourself, you move all that over here, you put the corners where they are, and then you pick a side, any side, pick a side, any side. And you begin to build that side, right? So you start with the corners, and then you fill in the edges. This is just how I do it. You ain't got to do it this way, but some of you know what I'm talking about. And as you fill in the edges, then the shape of the puzzle becomes to take form. And as the puzzle becomes to take form, you say, well, I'm going to start with this section right here. And you take your big section of pieces, and you find all the pieces that look like they begun that section, and you move them over here. And then you push pause on these, and you let them sit and simmer for a little bit. You come over here, and then you begin working that piece. That's how God created us. That each of us is a puzzle piece, and the puzzle does not fit until all of us are locked on, caring about one another, loving on one another, inspiring one another, I don't like your perfume. It make me sneeze. So I'd rather if you sat on the other side of the church. You really bug me when you say such and such. I just can't be around you no more. Don't let y'all talk like that. That's why I'm doing it, because I ain't trying to out nobody, you know what I mean? But confrontational means that there's nothing that you can do to appease or satisfy somebody, to make them feel good. Everything you try, just get on their nerves. You get on my nerves. I can't stand you. God didn't create us with that spirit. God created us with a spirit that says, you know what? I know you're trying. Let me help you out. I know you actually really want to do good. So let me tell you what I really like. And then the next time, let's see if you can. You know what? You listen for it. I can see that you're making progress and you're not there yet, but I want to commend you on really trying. And the next time, here's what you can do a little bit better. Because this really, I feel really good because you care enough about me to really try to do this. And I know it's hard to change. And I appreciate the fact that you're trying to change, that you're willing to change for me. So I want to pat you on the back. Now let me help you. You got to teach people how to love you. You got to teach people how to love you. You got to say, look, I trust you enough to share what really makes my heart throb. I trust you enough to let you know that when this happens, I really feel good. That's what Jesus was saying to the disciples. He says that when you look after one another, when you trust each other enough, then you realize it's not about who's the greatest. When you trust somebody enough to ask for help, then you realize that you made yourself so vulnerable that it's not about being the greatest anymore. It's about saying, you know what, you really have my back. I appreciate it. And looking out for the next time when it's my turn to have your back. And to do it without looking for anything in return. When you humble yourself to not be the greatest, but to be who God called you to be, then we're talking. And then we're walking. See, your focus has to be on what God's intention for your life is. And then you have to help other people to realize that you are special and valuable in God's sight because God created you to do this or these things. And if you're about me, then you have to be about God's business for me. You can't pull me over so that I can do what you want me to do, particularly if it pulls me away from where God has me. So we got to learn how to trust. Trust God, trust yourselves, and then trust each other. That's why Christ pulled that kid, because inherently kids don't know anything other than trust. You're about 2.5 years old, you ain't gonna eat unless somebody bring you some food. You can't put your clothes on unless somebody shows you what the clothes are. You really can't go nowhere unless somebody takes you. All they know is trust. And somehow as we age and mature, we get corrupted. And I know what it is, y'all. I'm with you. You've been hurt. Somebody has abused a friendship. Somebody has abused a relationship. By chance, somebody may have abused you. And it creates a tension in you that makes you never want to trust them. I hear you. My prayer for you is that you start by trusting God. And then allow God to teach you how to trust yourself. And then through that, God will show you, person by person, situation by situation, opportunity by opportunity, where you can take a pinch of trust and then feel good about that. Oh, when you're hurt, it's hard to open back up. God knows. God knows. But God knows. And God cares. So trust God. And then trust yourself as God is working As I close, I want to share this. My prayer for all of us is that we have the patience to understand that we must trust. Think about that. The patience to understand that we must trust. Then I pray that we have the persistence to want to trust. The persistence to want to trust. And then the prayer that if we do trust, that all will be okay according to the will of God. The disciples were able to leave that room with a new commitment to the things that God and Christ were calling them to do. Never again did they wrestle and tussle about who was the greatest. That wasn't a conversation ever again, because they understood that the greatest is the one who's willing to serve. The greatest is the one who's willing to give. The greatest is the one who's willing to stand in the gap. The greatest is the one when you see things that need to be done, you don't moan and groan and complain about doing them, you just get them done. The greatest is the one who will get that thing done when the lights are out and nobody can see. Not looking for any kind of accolade, no kind of plaque or certificate. The greatest is the one who cares so much that in the midnight hour, willing to get on their knees and pray for you. And then in the morning, call you to make sure you're okay. And then not come back and say, "Oh, guess what I did last week? I called and make sure you know." The greatest is the one who's willing to be like Christ. We're all great. Why? Because God created us that way. And you know what? There's nothing you can do about it. That's what I learned about it. We are all great. We're great in our own ways. Great in ways where you're an apple and I'm an orange. There's no comparison. So it's not even worth trying. But the point is, you are great. You are great. I want to share.